Hello guys, and welcome back to another tutorial. So on this video we are going to be doing the sewing part of this dress. So if you missed the part where we drafted it, I'm going to be linking it down in the description so you can go and check it out. Let's get right into the video. So these are all the pieces we'll be working with. I went ahead to iron stay on the upper part. As you can see, this is what it's looking like. So this is the bottom part. I went ahead to iron body pad soft wadding on this part, as you can see as well. But for the lining piece of the upper part, you can see that I did not iron anything to it. So this is how we are going to be using it. So this is the skirt part of our dress, the lower part of our dress. I went ahead to lining this also, as you can see, and I gave it a good press. So we are going to keep that aside and start working on the top part. So these are the pieces for the underbust. So I'm just going to arrange everything, and we are going to be sewing by 1/2 inch to join all the pieces together. You can see this is for the front. I'm going to join this by 1/2 inch. You can see the markings I made just so I can understand where I'm going to be sewing. So that's what we are going to be doing for that part. So this is the yoke for the back, of our dress. We are going to be sewing it just the normal way you would sew your yoke, as you can see me describing. So as well, I'm going to be showing you how to join the back piece. With the back piece, we are just going to be sewing that part by 1/2 inch for the both piece. So we are going to do that and come back. Right now I went ahead to just iron everything down after I was done joining them together. So this is what it's looking like. I set that aside, and we are bringing in our upper part, the upper part of our dress. So I'm going to sew a line like this, and I'm going to do the same thing for the other piece. I'm going to sew a straight line like this. So we are not going to be sewing the same line there, we're going to be pleating that part. So I'm going to show you how to do this. So I'm just going to be sewing like so. So after sewing, I'm just going to start dragging this just to create gathers. So I'm going to be dragging this all the way to the bust, where our bust is going to sit. So from that part where we made the slit, I'm going to be dragging this to that center part where our bust is going to be sitting. So please, if you missed the drafting part, pause this video, go and watch the drafting part, then you can watch this one so you understand what we are doing. So I'm just dragging this to the center part where our bust is going to sit. So now I'm just going to measure what we have at our pattern, and this is before we added the spread, before we slash and spread what we had. So what we had was about 10 inch, but what we have here is 11.5, so it's not yet the measurements we want. So I'm still going to keep doing gathering the thread to create the gathers till we get the 10 inch we are supposed to have. So right now we have 10 inches. So I'm going to do the second one. I'm just going to measure the second one and see if it's okay, and it was okay by me. Next, I'm bringing in our lining piece, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sew along that front line just to join the main fabric to the lining piece. So I'm just going to sew along this line. So guys, I want to apologize. I did not know my bonnet I was wearing was too big and it was covering the clips, but you can still see what I'm doing. So I just want to apologize. So I'm just sewing along this line, and after I am done, I'm going to start pleating our lining. So now I'm going to start pleating the lining. So what I'm going to do is as well pleat it where we have the gathers, so our bust is going to sit well. But before that, I'm just going to pin the ending part just so it stays in place for me to pleat and know where I am pleating to. I hope you understand. So I'm just going to sew this to the main fabric, and I'm going to be pleating this as I go. at the part where our bust is sitting as well, like I said earlier. So that's the area I'm just going to be pleating it down. Where our bust is going to be sitting is where we are going to have, where we have our bust point is where we are going to be pleating. So I'm just going to pleat this, and you can see that I've pleated it all, and this is what we have. So I'm going to do the same thing for the second piece. So this is what we have after I was done. This is what it's looking like after I was done pleating the lining to the main fabric piece. So this is what the inside look is looking like, and you can see that the bust area is already coming out. So now I'm just going to pin our upper part to the under bust area. So I'm just going to pin this all the way around so we can sew. So when I'm done pinning this part, I'm going to just pin the second piece we have over there. So this is what we have. So now I'm just going to sew along this line like so, and I'm going to sew along this side as well. So we're just going to sew that, and this is what it's looking like. So for the basque, I just went ahead to mark our 17-inch, because initially we had 20-inch as our length. So I marked from the 17-inch and I just ruled that down to this point, and I ruled it from this other side down to this point, instead of doing our normal center basque. So now I'm just going to cut it out. So guys, if there's anything you do not understand, feel free to leave your questions in the comments below. So next, I'm just going to cut my lining piece as well, the same way we did for the main fabric piece. So this is what it's looking like after I was done cutting it. So next, I'm just going to sew in our regilin boning. But before I sew in our regilin boning, I'm just going to be marking out where I want my boning to sit. So I'm just going to be marking this out. So this is what we have, but before I sew it, I'm going to go ahead to show you how we are going to be sewing this to our main fabric piece. So we are just going to be aligning the centers together, and we are going to be sewing like so, and going to sew down. So that's how we are going to be sewing the lining piece. So this is what it's looking like after I was done sewing in our boning and joining the top and the bottom parts together. So this is what it's looking like. This is what our boning is looking like, and this is the inner part. This is how everything is looking like. So next, we are going to be bringing our back piece, and we are just going to be joining everything together. So I'm going to take the yoke first of all, and we are going to be joining the yoke at the top like this. So we are just going to hold it from this point and sew it down by 1/2 inch, and when we are done sewing it here by 1/2 inch, we are just going to add our lining piece. So this is the lining piece. We are just going to add it together, right sides facing each other, and we are going to sew like this. So that is what we are going to be doing for the back piece. So this is the front. I'm just going to be tracing out the basque we have at the top to the skirt part, to the lower part. So I'm going to use my chalk, and I'm going to just carve out what we have at the top, at the lower part, so we can cut it out. So after I was done tracing it out, I'm just going to cut this out as you see me doing right now. So guys, if you're not yet subscribed to the channel, do well to subscribe, and do not forget to turn on the notification bell so you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. So this is what we have after cutting. So I'm just going to make a notch at that center part there, and I'm also going to make a notch at the top there as well, so we'll be able to join the top and the bottom together very easily. So I'm just going to be holding them together like this. You can see the notched part. We're just going to hold it from that point, as you see me doing right now. So from that point there, we are just going to sew it all the way down. So you can choose to pin this down like I did. You can choose to pin this down, and some people some people just normally sew it all the way down. But if you're a beginner, or you just want everything to lay down well, please pin this down and sew. So when I'm done pinning this down, I'm just going to sew everything together. So now we are done. We're just going to sew like this. We are going to sew by 1/2 inch, and for the other side as well by 1/2 inch. So this is what it was looking like after we're done attaching the top and the bottom parts together. This is what we have. So this is what the back is looking like. I'm just going to go ahead to attach, to start fixing in our boning. So I'm going to start inserting our boning into our boning channels. After that, I'm going to go ahead to attach the top and the bottom parts together. So we are just going to be sewing that by 1/2 inch. I'm just going to align everything and sew like this, and sew the second part as well. Next, we are going to go ahead to fix our zip, and you can see that I already marked out our zipper allowance like this, but I went in by 1/2 inch at this top just to eliminate bulging at the back part. So this is how it's going to be going. So we are going to sew from this point all the way down, and then we are going to fix our zip. So this is what our zipper was looking like after we were done fixing it. This is what it is looking like. We are going to go ahead to fix the shoulders together. So now this is me fixing the shoulder. I did not know the camera was not capturing that part. I'm sorry guys. So what I did was I just aligned them together. I'm just going to take one part and sandwich it to the other part like you see me doing right now. I'm just going to fold it in and just make sure everything is aligning properly like this, and then I'm going to sew by 1/2 inch all the way down. When we're done with that, we're just going to add our body measurements and sew everything together. So that is that for this tutorial. This is the finishing look. For the sleeves, I was unable to add a tutorial for that part because there was not enough fabric to work with, so I just had to do this sleeve you're seeing right now off camera. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on my next video. Bye guys.